Hello everyone, my name is Kane King, and on this channel I tell interesting or scary Reddit stories I have found online. This is a safe space to enjoy stories of the unknown. If you have any stories you'd like to share with me, you can contact me on Instagram or even post on the channel's subreddit page with a link down below in the description. But for now, enjoy the video. This isn't my story, but my dad's, but I feel it is worthwhile telling it here. My dad was a builder contracted to a local council to carry out works on council buildings. In the UK, this also includes homes and flats. My dad was told his next piece of work would be in a flat building, with multiple rooms and 3 levels. Homes and flats like these, when no one lives in them at the time, are called voids. The building is just empty rooms. When this happens, the council put big heavy metal doors on the buildings to prevent thieves from getting in. You need a set of keys provided by the council. To get ahead of himself, my dad wanted to see the scale of the work he would be undertaking, rather than going there completely unequipped and unprepared. So my dad opens up and takes a look around. 4 rooms on the ground floor, same on the second and third, are all connected by a staircase, which had a central shaft through the middle. You can see right to the ceiling on the 3rd floor. Stairs have metal bars for railings. A big job, but achievable in a few days. Got the place out, replaster a few walls, and a repaint job. My dad goes to lock up, but he feels someone behind him. This, I am told, is not uncommon. Local people see builders go into empty buildings, and they want to see what they can take. So naturally my dad turns around. "Mate, you're going to have to leave, I'm locking up." But he said it to no one. No one was around him, or had been in the building. Thinking this was just an odd sensation, he thought nothing else about it, locked up and went home. My dad told my mom what happened, but it was more of a passing remark like, "Oh, this happened today, weird, aha," and nothing else was said. Anyway, the weekend passes and my dad and his friend Martin go back to the job on Monday and begin opening up and proceed with the work. A local resident walks up and asks him how things are going, to which both agree it's going well and some other small talk. He changes the subject. "It's a shame what happened in there, isn't it?" Both my dad and his working friend were confused. A shame? What's a shame? Poor girl came home from school a few months ago and saw her dad hanging, tied himself to the railing and jumped. My dad, of course, was now scared and felt that familiar shiver go up him. He didn't tell the local guy what he had felt, but he told his friend. Martin refused to go in the building alone, and they both agreed that they would always leave the central door open to make sure there was an exit if needed. My dad would be the first to tell you he doesn't really believe in ghosts, and he would also say he has never seen a ghost. But he did say this was the oddest experience he has ever had, and still cannot explain it. Share an experience I had when I was in my late teens, early 20s. I'm going to try and keep it short, but I'm not sure if it's connected with previous paranormal activity I experienced when I was a child in my parents' first home, which is definitely haunted, and sure enough our second home was haunted as well. The second home is where I experienced the most activity, and caused me to go years with difficulty sleeping, which led to a bunch of other problems. However, one night I had one of the craziest experiences, but I never was really able to determine what it was. And at one point I believed it was astral projection. However, after watching some documentaries in recent months, it felt more like a UFO abduction, or even something demonic. But I do remember from that night was getting home late and just crashing into bed to try and get some sleep. I wasn't tired mentally, but I was physically exhausted from work and spending the rest of my evening/night hanging out with friends. So, in my attempt to fall asleep, I heard a piercing white noise that got louder and louder by the second. And the next thing I know, I am above my bed, entirely awake and aware of my surroundings, and able to see myself lying down in bed. I also felt completely paralyzed. The white noise kept getting louder and louder, that it felt like the whole room was shaking, and all of a sudden there's a beam of white light coming through my ceiling and lifting me up. And from the corner of my room, I can make out these black/shadow figures coming closer to me and making me feel surrounded. I remember being terrified and screaming at the top of my voice for help. But no matter how loud I screamed, it didn't matter. It was like the white noise was just blocking my sounds for help. I kept screaming and eventually I just remember waking up extremely terrified. I know most people will say I'm crazy or it was a nightmare, but I've had a lot of nightmares and this was definitely not one of them. I wanted to see if anyone else has had a similar experience and what they believe it to be. I've never had any paranormal experiences in my life that I can recall or say are paranormal, but this shook me to the core. This happened a few months ago, but I still remember vividly what happened. On September 7th, I was alone in my room at around 1:30 a.m. on a phone call with my girlfriend. I was the only one awake in the house at the time. Me and her sleep together on the phone, so we call every night and still do to this day. We were talking as usual, and obviously nothing was scary or eerie. I had my lights off in my room, so the only light was my phone screen right in front of me. My room is pitch black with the lights off, as expected, so it wasn't scary for me. But that's not what spooked me. As she's telling me about her day at work I hear a very low voice saying something coming from where my door is, but very quietly to the point where it was almost a whisper. I couldn't make out any words, but I could tell it was speech. I told my girlfriend to be quiet for a second so I could listen. At first I thought it was my brother, whose room is right next to mine, but he was already asleep. He does the same routine to go to bed every day. He uses the restroom outside our rooms, turns off the hallway light, closes the room to his door and turns off his light. This happened an hour before I heard the voice. His voice is not that deep. He's 15 years old, and since he hangs out with his friends over Discord, I know what his voice sounds like through the walls and the pitch of his voice. This was not him. I could hear it clearly as if someone was standing in my room right past the door, but I couldn't see anything, so I used my phone flashlight to try to see what was there without getting up out of my bed. After looking around for a few minutes, I decided it was time for bed, and I told my girlfriend that we should go sleep. I woke up the next morning as usual, and nothing scary has happened since. So I just moved in with my girlfriend's dad and stepmother. I'm from the US, and for a while, me and my girlfriend were in a long-distance relationship. I've just recently moved to Sweden, and just about 3 days ago, now I've started staying in a spare room in my girlfriend's dad's house. The first night I was here, I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard the sliding door to the storage room connected to mine rattling back and forth on its tracks and slightly tapping the wall. When I walked up to the door, I could see it slightly moving back and forth. My room is downstairs and sits underground, so I chalked it up to the vibration somewhere causing the movement. I checked the room and then opened and shut the door. After that, I went back to sleep and I assumed the noises stopped. The next day, me and my girlfriend slept through the night without any incident. But in the morning, I found a torn salt packet on my dresser with some of its contents on the table and floor. I asked my girlfriend, but she swears she hasn't put it there, and I don't see why anyone else would. The weirdest occurrence was definitely last night. I'm typically a skeptical person, but I know I felt the presence of something last night. My girlfriend woke up early this morning to head off to school, and before she left, she said that she saw something last night. I remember her waking me up in the middle of the night and complaining that I wasn't giving her enough space. According to her, when this happened, she saw a black figure standing at the edge of our bed. She said that she thought it was me at first, and she was trying to figure out how, but when she realized that I was on the bed, it seemed like it had almost crouched to pick something up, and then just turned around and walked away before disappearing. She said she went back to sleep because it felt non-threatening, and it hasn't worried her at all. After she left for school, I went back to sleep for a few hours. I had a quick bout of sleep paralysis, but the sensations I had during it were very strange. I've experienced sleep paralysis before, but never anything like this. I felt unable to move, and I could barely breathe, but the weirdest part of it all is that I literally felt something laying on top of me and caressing my face and running its fingers through my hair. At first, I was relaxed because I thought it was my girlfriend. Like it was literally felt like it was my girlfriend. But once I realized she had already left for school, I started to panic and couldn't breathe anymore. It felt like the force that was imposing itself on me was almost angry that I was upset, and it almost felt like I was having a fight for control with this entity inside my head. Once I regained control over myself, it felt like I literally felt the energy detach from me and race away in the direction of the storage room. I took a quick glance at the room around me and saw nothing, so I went back to sleep on account of the fact that I was really tired. When I woke up, I started thinking about it a little more, and now I'm really scared because I have to sleep alone tonight. Basically, I'm looking for advice or an interpretation. I know my girlfriend said it felt non-threatening, and for me it did at first as well. But it appears to me that it was literally trying to mimic my girlfriend, and my girlfriend had mistaken the entity for me. To me, it almost feels like something evil trying to present itself in a form that it knew each of us would feel comfortable with in order to trick us. I'm going to smudge the area with sage or Palo Santo, but I won't be able to until either tomorrow or this weekend. Not looking forward to sleeping alone tonight, or any of the nights that I have to, for that matter. So I'm sleeping in my family's house and I'm in the spare room. The closet has some random stuff in it and is used for storage. As I was grabbing an extra pillow out of the closet, I noticed the statue of a bunny that I've never seen before. In my head, I made a joke that I will be creeped out and won't be able to sleep knowing it's in the closet, and wanted to take a photo of it and send it to my cousin, telling her my exact thoughts. I went to take a photo, and my phone screen literally, crackled for a second, if that makes sense. You know when the TV has no satellite and it changes colors? This happened for a split second, and it even made a sound on my phone. And I was like, what the hell, that's weird. And I went to go take a photo again, and the same thing happened. I went into my sister's room to tell her, and I had goosebumps that didn't go away for 5 minutes. Her and I went back into the room, and she's like, this is the first time I've ever seen this bunny. I tried to take a photo again to see if it would happen again, but it didn't, and I felt crazy. We wanted to ask my dad about this bunny, but we don't want to wake him up, so we're going to wait until morning. I'm also debating if I've just suddenly became insane and imagining shit. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and let me know down in the comments which one was your favorite. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you'd like to support the channel, there are links in the description, along with a few links to buy my dark fantasy novel. I hope you have an amazing day. Until next time, bye bye.